Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome everybody today to the City of Dayton Council meeting for December of 2024. Roll call, please.
Member Kelly.
Here.
Member Wyrick. Member Levins.
Here.
Member Volter.
Here.
Member Neary.
Here.
Member Neiman.
Here.
City Administrator Fawcett.
Here.
City Attorney Edmondson.
Here.
Mayor Baker.
Here. Now, if you all would please rise for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very, very much. First on my mayor's report this month is we had a great turnout for this year's Light Up Dayton. A lot of volunteers put a lot of time into this. We gave gifts to over 300 children, and their families came out, and it was a wonderful time for them to meet with Santa. And so I really want to give a big thanks to our volunteers that put that together. It's one of our best traditions, and yeah, see you next year. It was amazing. Next on my mayor's report would be, I want to thank some people. When you put your name on a ballot, all of a sudden you became a public official. People start watching you. They start calling you about every single pothole in the ground. They start calling you about every tree that's overhanging their property. And it's a lot of work. And there's a couple of people in this room that have done that, and they've done it thanklessly. And we need to recognize that. So I want to recognize a couple of those folks today that are kind of winding down their time and in public service, and I appreciate what they've done. So first up, let's go ahead. I can't remember a time, Mr. Volter, that Volter wasn't a member of the school board, wasn't a member of council. You guys have put your life dedication into this town, and we are so appreciative of all the work that you've done. So, Jeff, I'd like to present you with the key to the city. In recognition for all the many years that you have selflessly put yourself on the line to make Dayton a better place.
Just like to say that it's been a pleasure to serve the citizens of Dayton over the years, and a pleasure to work with this council and administration. You all are a great team. We've got a great team in place here in the city. I know you'll continue to work hard and do great things. And it's the teamwork that makes it all go, and you guys are good at it. So I know you'll keep it up. But thank you again for making me a part of it. Appreciate it.
Here's your bag.
We're going to miss you.
There's your bag, bud.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, sir.
In case you ever get locked out of town, you got a key to get back in.
Next up, I would like to recognize a person who went down to Frankfurt every beginning of the year, and she worked hard on behalf of her constituents. I remember a time when we had a really bad road issue down on 4th Avenue that we were just not getting any type of state recognition to fix it because it's Route 8, it's a state road, and they just weren't fixing it. Our residents were complaining to me about the potholes, and I reached out to Representative Rachel Roberts, and she made it a priority of hers. She reached out to Mr. Gray, who is the head of Department of Transportation, KDOT, and we got it done. So now those residents are able to not lose their transmission and their suspension as they drive into their houses. It's a smooth as silk road, and she is always there to help us out. She's decided to retire from the House, and we are so lucky for the last few years to have Representative Rachel Roberts as our representative. And I wish her the best of luck and love throughout the rest of her time. And I have a key for you as well, my dear. It's such a pleasure. Yes, ma'am. In the bag. I searched hard for this bag.
I just want to really quickly say thank you so much. It has been such a joy to get to be such an integral part of Dayton. You guys have all welcomed me so much, and to watch what you all have created here and how vibrant Dayton is. It's a joy to watch and be any small part of. I've actually been in office for 5 years, and you're like the second person who shortened my tenure. And I think that's a good thing, because usually people are like, get this person out of office. But if it felt this quick to everyone, then maybe I did a good job. And in closing, I really hope that this key opens your bourbon cabinet, Mayor Baker. So thank you all so much.
It's always open for you, Ms. Roberts. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And that concludes my mayor's report for December, which next up is the approval of minutes. Everyone should have got a copy of the minutes from November. So I have a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from November.
Member Kelly's made the motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Member Neary. Any conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Next up is the public hearings on the consideration of non-exclusive franchise agreements for the provision of cable communication systems and electric and natural gas within the city of Dayton, Kentucky.
So Mayor, under the Kentucky Constitution, Kentucky statutes, we're required to have franchises with those companies who provide gas, electric services, Duke Energy, as well as cable television services, which is Insight Communications and Cincinnati Bell. And we're also required to have bids, which we've already done. We've had those companies have reapplied for their franchises in the city, which is the right to use our streets and sidewalks for their poles and for their equipment. So we're also required to have a public hearing. So that's what this is here tonight, is a public hearing. If anybody here who wants to speak about these franchises, we have two on the agenda tonight, a second reading on the franchise with Cincinnati Bell and a first reading with the Duke franchise. These franchises last for 20 years by the Kentucky Constitution, and then they're rebid again. So they've expired, and now we are in the process of renewing those franchises. So if there's anybody who wants to speak about the other franchises, please come up and speak.
Floor is yours. I don't see anybody raising from the audience. So that closes the public hearing, yes, sir?
Yes, it does.
Next up is the presentation by Northern Kentucky Area Development District, also known as the NKEDD, by Ms. Ann Wildman.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome.
Great to be here with you tonight. I have several things. I think I'll just sit them over here. Can I?
You want me to do go ahead? You got it?
Pass them out later. I don't need it right now. Great. My name's Ann Wildman, and I'm the Associate Director of Aging and Disability Services at the Northern Kentucky Area Development District. And I'm in my 20th year there. Yes. And we, the reason why I'm here tonight, well, I picked Dayton. I will tell you that. I have friends here in Dayton. My friends, the Nearys, and I picked Dayton because familiar faces are always good when you're presenting to people. But we are, senior management has a goal this year to we serve 8 counties, and we have a goal to go to all of the municipalities in the 8 counties, all the council meetings, commission meetings, et cetera, in hopefully by the end of January. That's our goal. We recently, over the summer, we did a strategic plan, and in that plan, what we found out from that was they wanted to see us out more in the community. So with that, one of the things we decided was let's get out and let's talk to people about what we do, because it's really important that people know what we do. So just by show of hands, does anybody know what the Area Development District does? I know there's a few people. Yeah. Oh, yay. Okay. A few. That's awesome. So just want to talk for just a minute or two tonight on that. The Area Development District is a collaboration of local leaders and staff that support and empower communities by convening stakeholders and implementing quality services. And we leverage through specific areas of expertise in aging and disability services, community development and planning, financial compliance and management compliance, local government services, and workforce development. So those are our areas of expertise. My area of expertise is aging and disability services. I've worked in that field for close to 30 years now. I feel like I can speak on that subject, and you can ask me about the other divisions, and I know enough to be dangerous. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking tonight about our aging and disability services. I know that there are members you have older adults and individuals with disabilities in your community. We serve those individuals, and through a variety of programs. It was interesting. I was telling one of my staff members that I was heading to Dayton tonight, and she said, I just left and saw one of my clients, one of our case managers. I think she was at Spears Court to see one of her clients. So we have staff in the Dayton community and all of our communities every day taking care of people's needs. So in aging and disability services, we provide a variety of services. We have an aging and disability resource center. It's a call center where we take in excess of 12,000 calls a year currently, where we provide information to people about services and programs that might benefit them. In addition to that, we also screen them for services that they may be eligible for. So essentially, our Aging and Disability Resource Center is the front door. We provide in-home services, home delivered meals. A lot of people know that as Meals on Wheels. We provide caregiver services. And another important service that actually came back to the ad. I've been there a long time, so I've seen things come and go. So in 2016, we lost funding for a really important program. And last year that came back, and I was thrilled to see that come back. And that is our grandparent program. So the Kentucky Caregiver Program assists low-income grandparents who are raising grandchildren. And I would guess to say that you probably know of a grandparent who's raising a grandchild, because there are so many of them out there. And we provide financial assistance to grandparents who are raising grandchildren in the form of providing clothing vouchers and things that will help them with their care of their grandchild. So just some practical ways that we can help people out there. Some other things that we do: legal services, transportation services, our family caregiver program that helps people who are caring for older adults. Just a lot of ways that we help the community. One of the things that I brought tonight was our older adult resource guide. This came out about 6 weeks ago. We publish one of these about every year and a half. And this is our 2024-2025 guide. And this guide is just a great resource book. Some people just love paper. Then we do have a link on our website. So there is an electronic version of this. But a lot of people just like to have paper in hand so that they can look up things. Great information in here about all kinds of services, but also checklists and just a lot of really good things that people, caregivers and other people can find out. Things like safety in the home, information about Medicare and long-term care insurance. Just really, really practical things, a dementia checklist, things that people as they age and their caregivers need to know. So I have some of those, plenty of those with us. And then also NKADD's annual report. So with that, what questions can I answer for you? Any questions?
Where would we get that guide?
They're right here. And then also, if you have a place like we, one of our associate directors attends the city clerks meeting, Katie Joe. You know Katie Joe? And Katie Joe often brings boxes of these guides to the meetings. So if you want to request that from her, she will provide the guide, because a lot of times in the city building, they just keep the guide there and people will pick that up. But if you need extra guides or what have you, just give me a call. I left some of my business cards too.
If someone was more interested in your services, where would they go online?
Oh, so a couple different things. You can actually go to our website, nkadd.org. You can email our Aging and Disability Resource Center. That's adrc@nkadd.org. Or you can give our resource center a call, 859-692-2480. All of that information is in this guide here. And I think it might be on this as well. Yes, it's on this information page that I'm leaving with you all tonight as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, and if you all think of any additional questions, like I said, I left my business card. Feel free to reach out. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I can remember years ago when the Ad District was the major mechanism of support for planning and development in the community when we had our own planning and zoning commission. And they were very instrumental in helping us plan and do the strategic plan and assist in that manner.
They are still working on, they're still doing that work, still working on that. And Katie Jo Kirkpatrick is the Associate Director of Community Planning and Development. So any questions that you have, feel free to reach out to Katie Jo. She could help in any way.
Can we, would we be able to either in the next e-newsletter or on the city Facebook page or whatever, put those links, the digital link for the catalog that you have there?
That would be awesome.
We're happy to do that.
Yep, it's on our website, so should be able to get that pretty easy.
Cool.
So Jared's in charge of our newsletter, so make sure that's on the.
I've got
He's on top of
thumbs
it.
up. He's on it. All right.
Man, I really like how that you guys are still using paper. I'm a fan of paper, even though I'm in technology as a business. But it's great because some of the more senior people in our city may not have Facebook, may not have the internet,
Yeah.
or don't care to use it.
you have to have that option. Like I said, I've been working with older adults for 30 years now, and you have to have that option. Older adults, a lot of older adults tend to like paper.
Sure.
Yeah. So
Well, you're welcome to drop some off at City Hall. We'd be happy to distribute them. And also I'd recommend putting some down at Spears Court because that is a community of folks. that
Will
might be able to
do.
Use those services.
absolutely, we'll do. I have staff that go in and out of Spears Court all the time. So
Excellent. Thank you.
we
so
can
much.
do that. All right. Well, thank you all for having me tonight. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank
It's
you.
been a
Thank you very much.
pleasure. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
Thank you, Ann.
Thanks.
Merry Christmas. Next on the docket is the podium is open for anybody who would like to address City Council administration regarding regarding anything that's on tonight's agenda. So if you have a question, comment, concern about tonight's agenda, the podium is yours. And I don't see anybody running up to the podium, so we're gonna go ahead and close that as well. Now on to the meat and potatoes. The ordinances. Tonight is the second reading of ordinance 2024-20. Ms. Klein, please.
An ordinance amending sections 150.15 through 150.18 of City of Dayton, Kentucky Code of Ordinances to reflect the city's contract with the Campbell County Planning, Zoning, and Building Inspections Department to provide zoning and building inspection services to the city and to impose civil penalties for violations of these sections consistent with Section 38.15 of the code.
As I mentioned the last meeting, this is an ordinance, this is a cleanup matter. This ordinance was originally adopted in 1993 and updated in 2005 when the city staff did all our building and planning inspections, which we don't do anymore. We contract with Campbell County to do that now. So basically it's indicating that is the current arrangement and it refers to the fees that Campbell County charges rather than all the fees we had in the old ordinance, which were the old fees we charged back in the day. So it's just basically a cleanup matter.
Thank you, Mr. Fawcett. Again, this is the second reading of ordinance 2024-20. Do I have a motion to accept?
Motion to approve 2024-20.
Member Volter has made the motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Member Lovins, which opens it up for conversation. Do you have any conversation regarding this ordinance? All right, doesn't sound like it. So roll call, please, Ms. Klein.
Member Neiman,
Aye.
Member Kelly,
Aye.
Member Levens,
Aye.
Member Volter,
Aye.
Member Neary.
Aye.
And the ayes have it unanimously. Next on the docket is the second reading of ordinance 2024-21. Ms. Klein, please.
An ordinance granting a franchise to Cincinnati Bell Extended Territories LLC, DBA Alta Fiber Connected Services, to operate a cable communication system within the territorial limits of the city of Dayton, Kentucky, and authorizing and directing the mayor of the city to execute a franchise agreement between the city and Cincinnati Bell Extended Territories LLC to provide and operate a cable communication system within the city.
The last month, we had a similar ordinance on that identified two franchise holders, which one was Cincinnati Bell, the other was Charter Communications, doing businesses Insight Spectrum in America LLC. We come to terms with Cincinnati Bell, and there's no change from last month's ordinance, so we're just using this ordinance tonight to approve a franchise agreement with Cincinnati Bell. We're still negotiating with Charter Communications. So I suspect we will have a first reading of a new ordinance for them in January, and a second reading in February. We also have another ordinance coming up about Duke Energy. We'll talk about that in a second. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Jay, I do have a question on section F.
Should we wait to the motion second? To the
Can.
conversation. Do we have a motion to accept ordinance 2024-21?
I'll make that motion.
Member Neiman's made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Member Kelly. All right, now we're opening up for conversation and questions.
You know, so if we're talking about communications with the community, and under access, page 25, section F, government access,
Give me a second.
it sounds to me that the government access channel will be shared by all municipal and county governments. And I know we're not part of that cable board,
So,
Does this
so here's the
preclude that?
situation. A couple years ago, you guys looked into this, and why don't we be a part of the cable board? Well, we looked into it, and they're gonna charge us an additional $35,000 to $40,000 to come here and do your city meetings and any other events. So I think the decision was probably more cost effective for us to do our own meetings on YouTube than to hire them to pay additional money. You get some money through the franchise fees they're paid. Those would just go then and pay the cable board to do that. So
Right.
that was, we discussed it a couple years ago, and that was the conclusion, was to keep doing what we've done in the past.
Okay, so then, like I said, on page 25, it says it will be shared by everybody in that's a franchisee, which would be the city. Would we be able to submit content to that government access channel?
Sure, absolutely. It's government access, so we can see the content we wanted to.
Okay.
Absolutely. But yeah, no doubt.
All right. I didn't know if this would, if the cable board issue died off or,
No, they're still there. In some cities, I think Bellevue uses them. They pay the fees to use them to come to their city meetings and some events and things like that. But we
okay,
decided not to do that.
okay, but we could submit content
Absolutely.
to Alta Fiber or Cincinnati or
It would be through the cable board.
to the cable board. All right, thank you.
So is that 30,000 a one-time?
It's a one,
Is the 30,000 a one-time
every year.
every year?
Yeah.
And we could do that eventually if we wanted to.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. That's what language is still in here. So if we ever decided we wanted to go that route, we can do it.
We did decide that a couple years ago, but I think it's been very unsuccessful. Our microphones and our meetings on YouTube are largely inaudible all the time. And, I don't know. I mean, that I've been watching them and people complain about it and you can't hear it. And I don't know, I mean, 30,000 sounds like a lot, but everybody seems to be coughing it up and Bellevue's paying it and you can hear their meetings and I don't know. I feel like in this next year, I'd really like to make this an absolute priority. After COVID, I don't think it's an expectation that people need to come here and listen to these meetings. They can do it at their own leisure online that we have, and we've paid money for these microphones that half the time don't work. And you can't hear the meeting. So I think that all of us should be watching those videos and knowing how it went, like tonight, like go home or this week and watch. Could you hear, a lot of times you can't hear on the podium when people speak. Jay, can't hear you at all. I don't know what the problem is. I know we brought that guy Jerry in several times. We paid him. I think the total was like 10 grand that we paid him so far for these mics. People can't hear the meeting. It's absolutely a basic expectation in 2024 to be able to watch these meetings. So I hope that we can do better.
I think that
Coming
the
here.
cable board has done a good job of adapting with, I don't have cable. I haven't paid a cable bill in 15
I don't have
years.
cable either. I mean, on the YouTube channel.
Right. I think they've done a
Yeah.
good job. That was my point. I think they've done a good job of adapting and adding those to YouTube where
No, you can't hear it.
I don't think you're understanding what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm saying they've done a good job of adapting and adding it to YouTube.
Oh,
Where in the past, when they first made the decision not to use them, it was on cable channel 13 that nobody ever went to.
Yeah.
It's a different TBNKY than it was 15 years ago when they made that decision. So I think we should re-look at it. And also the other things that TBNKY offers the city, the joining cities, as far as teaching kids how to use a camera. I'm a radio television guy. That's what I went to college for. So I think it's worth our look.
yeah, sure.
But that's why they've done it in the past, is because people are ditching cable.
Mhm.
And so let's reevaluate that. I'm not arguing with you. I say you have a,
I don't have any argument about anything. I just know that it's a basic expectation that people should be able to watch this on YouTube or whatever we say. Wherever we say that you're going to be able to watch these meetings and they're still after, I know before 2020, they were inaudible. Might have been it was 2018 maybe that I was so disgusted with the whole thing that my husband went out and bought a $100 camera at Target, and we were taping them.
I remember.
And it was picking it up just fine. You know, I was swinging it around like a nut, but, you know, and this is just sort of a thing that goes on and on. That's 6 years, and you can hear it.
Yeah, but I
The
want,
$99 camera did better.
Do we have an account on YouTube on how many watch it?
I don't care if it's 1, I don't care if it's 0. It should be accessible in 2024. I don't
It
care.
should be accessible, but I don't know about a 30,000 investment.
Yeah, but it should be audible.
Eight people
A
watch it.
$99 camera can make it audible, so we can do that minimum thing.
Correct. I think we probably need to talk about that upgrade, but in this purpose, this would not benefit us for 8 people to watch.
Okay. It's a problem.
I mean, if a $100 camera does the job, then we probably should just buy that.
I was not opposed. My husband was gonna come back
But
in.
30 to 40,000 for this purpose.
It's not great, but it works. Actually, it's kind of great, but
well, and I have watched other council meeting. I don't have a life. I've watched other council meetings and even the county commissioners, and I don't know how often you can't hear what somebody's saying because they're all the way back here. A lot, and we've gotten a lot
Okay,
better at
then
that.
if that's the problem, then we all have to take responsibility to watch that video and say, why can't we hear so-and-so?
Well,
What are they doing?
I'm
They're
saying no
rolling
matter,
around on the floor, they have the thing turned on and we paid 10 grand for it. What exactly is the problem? Because to not be audible in 2024 is not acceptable.
I don't disagree, but I
Okay.
think some of it is user error.
Figure it out.
It's not necessarily,
Okay, then if it's you, I mean, right now, ideally, I have volunteered my husband as usual to watch it and text Jared and say, we can't hear it. That was last week or last month.
Mhm.
Nobody turned it on. It's always something. He's always texting me going, can't hear it.
well,
Can't hear Jack, can't hear it.
maybe we
Turn it
should
off."
look
It's
into,
like,
on a separate issue, as you said, we should look into the
Yes.
cable board and would they send somebody and correct the, and, yeah, let's look into that, but that's a separate
I think
issue.
Every one of us up here should take responsibility for this from now on. I don't want to bitch at anybody. Every single person on city council and in this administration should watch that video when they get home and figure out, was that audible to the people who live in Dayton? They don't have to come here and catch COVID or do whatever in
Understood?
2024.
Not disagreeing.
Yeah,
I'm-
okay.
Let's continue to have those discussions. Mr. Foster, I'm going to ask you to either delegate or figure out what they offer for $30,000 a year
Yeah, I'll follow up again. I talked to them a
and
couple
provide
years
that
ago.
with council.
It might absolutely have nothing to do with this. These things right here that we already spent money on. Like, what is the problem? Why is it not audible?
Well, I
We
think,
were assured when Jerry came in here that he had a whole system, yada, yada.
I think some part of the problem is what Joe says, is, and I find myself doing it. I talk to you all like this, and I'm not talking to the speakers. I'm training myself, no matter who I'm talking to talk into the speaker. So hopefully that will make it better. We have adjusted it. We've changed out my microphone and got a new one, brand new one here. So I think if we watch the show tomorrow, hopefully I'm being heard okay. But I think the big problem is up here, people who aren't used to speaking in the mic come up there to speak and they're not speaking close enough. So we're gonna have to like just teach people
Yeah.
and educate people that they need to speak. And we all do have a tendency to turn to talk to each other and not speak in microphones. So I'm gonna work on it. I think we all need to work on it. I think this is the top of the line equipment. So it's not the equipment. I think it's user error, and I'm one of the biggest user mistakes. So I'm gonna work on that.
Okay, great.
So has he texted? Can he hear us tonight?
I don't know. I can't, I didn't tell him to or ask him to. So I don't know what he's doing.
Obviously, this is a passion of yours, and I
Oh,
appreciate
yes, it is.
appreciate
And
that.
it's been 6, 8 years. I don't know what it's been now. It just really, it's offensive to me. I mean, it really is offensive.
I understand,
And
but
when I turn that thing on and I can't hear anybody, everybody's screaming, it is the finger. I mean, it really is.
you've used 2 profanities already.
I don't, really? Well,
Yeah,
whatever.
you said the B word and now the finger.
What B word?
I do know many B words.
I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I think it just sort of shows the city that we don't care and we're above it. And nobody takes responsibility for it. Any kid could do this. Any eighth grader, hey, it's your job that on Friday you check what, I mean, it's really, I think it's just really offensive to people.
All right.
When you
Again, I
don't,
appreciate your
whatever,
passion.
all this money, without all these assurances and, it's inaudible. And most of the, Jay, fine, whatever, if it's you, but most of the good information comes out of you. And then there's, for the most part, and then there's the person at the podium you generally can't hear, so you don't know what you're answering to. And I just feel like whatever it is, let's get on it, all of us. Because it's like, talk to Jerry, talk to this. Nope, every single person up here, start taking responsibility for that.
Like, I don't disagree with the lack of the hearing, but, hearing issues,
know
but
you don't.
could
I
we,
know
could
you
we
don't,
like
but I
circle
know
back
what
though
it
to our
is.
ordinance that
Well,
we're
one of the
addressing
problems,
right
first of
now?
all, I'm gonna stop you going. When you speak over each other, that's not the problem. You have to
Okay.
wait for each person to speak and then you speak, then it's your turn.
Oh, I just said I didn't disagree that, that we definitely have sound issues, but I don't think that that's what this ordinance is addressing
That's
that
fine,
we're
yeah.
discussing now. And I just wondered if we could get back on that topic.
Sure. But this is a very important topic.
I'm not disagreeing.
Mhm.
Any other comments?
Is there any, on
What you
this,
got, Joe?
on this particular franchise agreement,
Yes.
is there any money exchanged on this? Do they pay a franchise fee
Yes.
to the city?
So it used to be a separate franchise fee that would pay the cities. State government got involved about 15 years ago, and it all goes to the state now, and we get some of that back. But of course, the state is sharing it now too.
Okay,
So so that money goes into a telecommunication tax fund and comes back to the city from the state.
okay, so it doesn't show up as a line item in our budget then?
Yeah, the money still goes into our budget.
Right, but it's not like we collect a tax directly from the franchisor.
Right, so that's how Duke's different. They actually do pay us a direct franchise fee, but the telecommunications, there's a separate law that sends that money down to the state.
All
Now,
right,
you can opt out of that, but my experience is, and my research is that generally you're actually getting paid probably less by doing that than going through the state. Believe it or
Okay.
not.
thank you.
We've had a motion to accept by Member Neiman. We've had a second by Member Kelly. We've had discussion. Do we have any more discussion? Council?
I move to vote on it.
We had a move to vote. All
Yeah.
right. Roll call, please, Ms. Klein.
Member Neary,
Aye.
Member Neiman,
Aye.
Member Kelly,
Aye.
Member Levens,
Aye.
Member Volter.
Aye.
And the ayes have it.
Gotcha.
The last on the docket for ordinances this evening would be the first reading of ordinance 2024-22. Can I please have that read, Ms. Klein?
An ordinance granting a franchise to Duke Energy Kentucky, Inc. to operate an electric and natural gas distribution system within the territorial limits of the city of Dayton, Kentucky, and authorizing and directing the mayor of the city to execute a franchise agreement between the city and Duke Energy Kentucky, Inc. for the operation of an electric and natural gas system within the city.
So as I mentioned earlier tonight, and this is the second franchise that we have on the agenda tonight. This is for the gas and electric franchise with Duke Energy. This is a franchise that expired, and we were hoping to have this on the agenda for a first reading last month and a second reading tonight. So we'd have this council making the decision on this, but without the new council-elect members coming on next month. But they had to go to PSC and file some paperwork, and so it delayed the process, and they asked us to move it this month. So we'll have a second reading on this in January, which we'll have to do council members, but that's no big deal. They present information and background on this today, and the reason you have two readings is not necessarily for the council members, but for the public to be aware of what the legislation is, and then have time to review it and understand it before the second reading. So, this is first reading and will be a second reading in January.
Does this have to be completed by end of calendar year?
No, it does not.
Okay.
They're already, the the franchise has already expired, but it does need to be completed in the next couple of months because there's a PSC component here, Public Service Commission component that it must be as well. So talking with their lawyers is what we had to do. We couldn't do it in November, so we had to do it this month.
Thank you, Mr. Fawcett, for your explanation. Thank you, Mr. Neary, for your question. Again, this is just a first reading, so we'll have a whole calendar month to look over this. We've got a couple new council members who are going to take a look at it as well. Again, just a first reading. Moving right along, the next of the docket is order resolutions, and the first is order resolution 2024-28. Romeo, Ms. Klein, please.
An order resolution terminating the professional services agreement with Prime AE Group Incorporated for engineering services and authorizing the issuance of a new request for qualifications for these services.
So Mike Yeager is our city engineer. He's done a great job for us last couple of years. He is taking employment with another engineering firm, leaving Prime AE, and we would like to continue to work with him. But to do that, we need to terminate our relationship with Prime and rebid for engineering services to allow anybody who wants to do those to submit a competitive bid. And so that's what this does. Mike will be opening a local office for a Columbus engineering firm, and I'm sure he will bid along probably with others for these services.
Thank you, Mr. Fawcett. Any questions, comments, concerns regarding 2024-28 Romeo?
So this would be putting it out as an RFQ.
Yes.
Request for qualifications.
Yes.
Make a motion to approve order resolution 2024-28R.
Member Neary's made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Member Volter, which opens us up for conversation regarding. Council, would anybody like to have conversations, questions, concerns? All right, we're going to go ahead and close it out. Roll call, please, Ms. Klein.
Member Volter,
Aye.
Member Neary,
Aye.
Member Neiman,
Aye.
Member Kelly,
Aye.
Member Levens.
Aye.
And the ayes have it. The last order resolution of the year, 2024-29 Romeo. Ms. Klein, please.
An order resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a cost share agreement with Sanitation District Number 1 for stormwater system improvements on Grant Park Drive to address stormwater runoff issues on that street payable from Belmont Lake LLC Grant Park TIF funds.
Mr. Fawcett.
So this is a order resolution. I'm very happy it's finally here. We've been working on this project for 2 years. For those of you who may not be familiar with the Grant Park area, that used to be Belmont Lake, which was a pay lake in Dayton. There are a number of springs up there that fed that lake. The springs are still operating. Unfortunately, when some of the houses were built there, especially early on in construction, they all have sump pumps because water, groundwater, stormwater goes into the basements and they pump it out. But they daylight it into the yards, which causes a lot of runoff and constant water, which creates ice in the winter and dangerous conditions. There's also a lot of groundwater also in addition to the sump pumps. So we have worked with SD1 for a couple of years. It's been a long process. And also with the homeowners association at Grant Park to come to a solution. So SD1 has a program where it's a 50-50 cost share with public entities, the city. We also have 3 property owners that have sump pumps on their private property, and they've agreed to pay $2,500 each to tie those in to help defray the overall cost of this project. In addition to tying in those sump pumps, there will be what they call French drains, basically, that will catch water, groundwater, before it reaches the street, and all that will drain into the public sewer system. So actually, there are 3 property owners, there are 4 property owners involved. 3 will have sump pumps, but 1 simply we have to go through his yard to reach the stormwater base. So the good news is a problem we've been trying to deal with for several years. Looks like we have an opportunity to fix it. This is kind of a trial project. We're going to see how it works. And if this works, we're going to go further up and address other issues on the street. This will be paid for from the city's funds, from TIF funds, which we've collected and retained because of these problems. So it won't be coming from our general fund. These are funds we set aside to deal with this issue. So we'll be city using those funds, SD1 using SD1 funds. We all pay a rain fee or a stormwater fee on our bills. That money is used to fund this program that we're using. And then we also have property owners, so it's a private-public partnership to make this happen. So we're hoping to get it started next year, weather permitting, so it could be, we have a nice week or so of weather. We might be able to get it done in January, February, if not, it may not happen until March, but looks like it's going to happen if you all approve this tonight.
So Jay, these are what you said, 3 or 4 properties?
There are
At this-
4 properties affected, but only three of them have sump pumps that are going to tie in.
Okay.
One's on the north side and 2 are on the south side of Grant Park. This is almost down where the loop is.
Okay.
Down that far. And from that point on, everything's fine because they tied all the sump pumps into the storm system. But from that point up to the beginning of Grant Park Drive, those weren't tied in. Some have gone ahead and done it themselves privately and used their own funds to do it.
Right.
But others have not. So most of the homeowners are happy to do this. It's a problem, and it's really dangerous in wintertime.
And this is going into the stormwater outlet, not the
Yeah.
combined sewer
Right.
or anything like that.
Since the 1950s, most subdivisions now have 2 separate systems.
Right.
It used to be in the old days, like downtown Dayton and Covington, all got combined. The stormwater and the sewage water went in the same pipes. But this has 2 separate systems. This will go to a separate stormwater system.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the explanation, Mr. Fawcett. Do we have a motion to accept Order Resolution 2024-29 Romeo?
I'll make that motion.
Member Neiman's made a motion. Have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Member Neary. You guys always jump ahead on the questions and conversations.
Well, I didn't know whether or not I wanted to
To-
even
to
put it up
motion
for a vote.
All right, That's
Yeah.
fair, that's fair, man.
But no, I think it's great. Thank you for all the hard work. I know this has been a battle ever since the subdivision was put in, basically.
Correct.
And explaining that it is a test with just a few of the properties, because it's a lot of the properties down there have the same issue.
And it's not just the private properties. The road is being undermined. And we just replaced about 4 blocks in the middle of Grant Park that were just so bad we had to do it. And we're hoping that we're going to be able to capture this water before it goes underneath there and destroys the road any further. So we're benefiting from it too in terms of making this cost in the future.
And how involved is the HOA, the Grant Park HOA with this funding?
They're very involved in no spending. Their HOA does not really do what a lot of HOAs do. The money that's collected on the HOAs actually goes to pay off the TIF. It doesn't go towards any improvements there. They don't really have a separate mechanism to make common area improvements like some HOAs do.
Okay.
So they have an extra assessment on their property tax. And that essentially goes to the city. That is used to pay off part of the TIF. The city pays part of it from our taxes that we generate, and they pay part of it. That's the deal of the property, which they have for another 20 years or how long that TIF is.
All right. Thank you, sir.
What year did they build Grant Park?
1 year, but,
What year did they build Grant Park and fill in that lake?
I wasn't here. I remember I did a presentation to the board of their HOA, and I'm thinking it was,
About 2018.
is it 2018? I was thinking
Wasn't it, Rick?
2015 or 2017. Does that sound right?
I think
When
they,
they started building those houses?
Huh?
That they started building Grant Park? What do you mean? When did they fill in that pay lake?
Oh,
Oh,
when they built the property. I can probably tell, I can tell you.
I'm
in a
just
second.
curious.
I have a PowerPoint presentation. I look at it. in a second.
yeah.
I've been here 17 years. First part of it, but where they were building.
Okay. You don't have to look it up. I'm just curious.
So let's just say 2014, call it earlier.
Right now.
That's when we started working on that.
No, no. Started on it.
We've had a motion by Member Neiman, second by Member Neary. We've had discussion. Do we have any more discussion regarding? Roll call, please.
Member Levens,
Aye.
Member Volter,
Aye.
Member Neary,
Aye.
Member Neiman,
Aye.
Member Kelly.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Next up on the docket is the Department Directors of Monthly Reports. And you know how we do in Dayton. It's always ladies first. However, Miss Patterson wasn't able to make it this evening. She has babysitter duty. So we received her report. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to her directly or through council or administration. So we'll excuse her. And next up, I have, last week I kind of joshed him and made him go last. But this week, I'd like to congratulate Fire Chief Schaefer on his nomination to Fire Chief. And you can go first, sir.
I have nothing other than the report I submitted. If anybody has any questions. That's
Thank you
it.
very much for your help.
Thank you.
That's the easiest, brother.
That might be a record.
I like how you handle your business.
I actually have something on that topic, sir.
Yes.
We have a fire board meeting next Wednesday night at 6 PM at the Callahan Center in Bellevue, where we will be swearing in Chief Schaefer.
Excellent. And I want to give a big shout out. Every year, the fire department riles around Light Up Dayton and brings Santa and Mrs. Claus down to this room. So thank you guys very much for your support in that. You guys are the best. Police Chief Halfhill, the floor is yours, sir. You all good? All right, good.
Yeah, I'll show them how it's done. Yeah, my report for the month. So any questions on my report? Anything, parking issues, anything like that? I just want to give a shout out to Sergeant Lynn Kugel and Officer Nacero. Friday, November 22nd. We're trying to look at doing something a little bit different, more for the city. We do a food drive. We assist with Newport Police Department and Fort Thomas at Newport Kroger and do a food drive up there. But instead, we did one, just the Dayton Police Department at the Bellevue Kroger. That was from like 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock. It benefited the Dayton schools. It's called the Dayton Backpack Food Drive. Just to make sure that the kids, when they go home, that they do have food with them, backpack full of food to bring home with them. And it was a huge success. Trunks were full, all the doors were full. I think Ben stopped down and saw how much it was they were collecting. So they did a really good job on a community event. Speaking of community events, we do have this Saturday is going to be the annual Cops and Kids. So we'll be I believe we have several kids from the community that will be representing. So we have a large group. We collect or we go out shopping at Myers in Cold Spring for the kids. Make sure they get everything they need for Christmas, along with any siblings or parents. They want to get them something, but usually the necessities such as jackets and boots and socks, and make sure they have those necessities before we move on to the toys. So. But that is this Saturday. So be out there.
Thank you for your continued involvement in the community. I was there. All the trunks were full. The back seats were full with food. Really appreciate their involvement.
Yeah, it's something new. So hopefully we can continue that
Excellent.
tradition. So all right, thank you.
Any questions for Chief? Merry Christmas,
All
sir.
right, thank you.
Last but certainly not least, Mr. Rick Lucas, Department Head of Public Works.
As usual, we're staying busy. New heat and air conditioning unit in.
Yeah, with a brand new unit. That's
Yep.
not as loud as the old one.
Yeah.
Hopefully it works too, yeah. But no, we've been busy. We're changing over to snow equipment now. Mowing is officially done. So we'll be bringing in some salt here in probably another couple weeks. I mean, we got probably 75 ton in stock. But other than that, dump trucks all taken care of, new keys made, front end lineman's done. So that's all taken care of.
Conversation about our dump truck. We got that back, right?
Yep.
All right, good.
Yep. We got it back, and all put back together and,
Not much damage.
no, front end alignment, I think that was like $180. And then we had to have a couple keys made. That was about $250 or so.
And you're going to go to jail for that.
4 felony charges, wanton endangerment, all kinds of stuff.
I believe the term
He's been
is play
charged.
stupid games, win stupid prizes.
hmm Yep.
Well, congratulations to that man.
Yep. And then, we're doing leaves. We're done with the leaves pretty much now. I mean, everything's been cleaned, catch basins and all that's done. So, other than that, we're staying busy.
As usual, your crew have done a great job with the downtown snowflakes
Yeah.
and the Christmas trees. Everything looks great. Appreciate that.
Yep. Well, thanks.
Really looks great.
Okay.
Thanks for your work on Light Up Dayton as well. The Monument Park looks great. The Avenue looks great. And your guys are just awesome.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Lucas. Next up, City Administrator's Report. Mr. Fawcett, please.
So it was 2007 Grant Park was initially, they did the grading and installed pipes in the road. So I suspect those buildings probably started going in 2008. So,
So it's done incorrectly with the time.
yeah, so,
Capping off a lake, it's a spring-fed lake.
yeah, so they built it in, and I'm not sure whether they pulled dirt off. I wasn't here off the hillside. They probably not bring too much dirt. Maybe they did, I don't know.
Yeah.
So they probably pulled it from what was there and redistributed it. So.
Yeah, when we moved on to Sargent on 2006 and they started it the next year and it was like Dr. Doolittle up there with all the wildlife scattering.
Oh, yeah.
But when they were just bulldozing to put the roads in and everything, you could see where the springs were coming out of the ground still.
Yeah, not gonna stop those.
No.
Like Michael Jordan, can't stop it, just gotta contain it.
Right.
So anyway, I only have one other thing I want to report to you all tonight about the CERS, which is the County Employers Retirement System, which the city participates in, all cities do. A couple years ago, that system was on the verge of failure. It was reported to be the worst public pension system in the country. The legislature came in and made a number of changes and improvements. Part of that was really increasing the rates we pay. So in 2023, which was only a couple of years ago, the rate for 2023, which they do it a year ahead. But in 2022, 2023 rates were 50% we had to pay 50% of every police officer and every firefighter salary in the CRS system. And that same amount for non-hazardous employees was 27%. The good news is the last couple of years, because of more people being hired and higher salaries and better fiscal management, that rate has gone down for the second straight year. So the current rates are going down 1.09% for non-hazardous and 2.8% for hazardous. And they are going to be, starting July 1, 2025, 19.7%, which is 8% less than 2 years ago, and 38.6%, which is 12% less than 2 years ago. So that's good news for us. So the city was not paying nearly as much as we used to. Those won't go into effect until January 1, our new fiscal year. I just want to let you know that. That's good news. That's all I got.
That's all you got? That's a lot. Any questions for Administrator Fawcett? All right, well, thank you for your report, sir. Now we would like to open up for the last time in 2024, the audience comments from the crowd. You're welcome to address council administration at the podium. It is yours. Boy, not all at once, please. All right, we'll go ahead and close that out then. Any new business that council would like to bring to our attention for 2024?
I've got two things, actually.
What you got?
Sir. And Mrs. Volter had brought this up many times, lighting on Dayton Pike, especially with the park there. I noticed that there's a street light on every other pole going up Dayton Pike. Would it be possible, especially with this new franchise agreement with Duke, to see if they would put one on every pole? Because the one at the bottom of River Point is one of the new LEDs, and that's a really nice floodlight, really lights up that whole area. But the other lamps are the old style that pretty concentrated. But I think if we put street lights on every pole going up Dayton Pike, that would help with the visibility on the sidewalk, and also, it's a deer crossing up there too.
The only problem is we have to make sure that they're Duke poles. So sometimes they're Cincinnati Bell poles, and Duke can't put their lights on Cincinnati Bell's poles. But if they're Duke poles, they can do that. So I'll check on that.
All right,
Beat 'em
thank you.
up.
The other thing is I had Mike Yeager, he's researching, doing along the path, doing bower lights and using, initially his research was that he didn't think that we could get commercial lights that would use sunlight as electricity.
All right,
But I'm asking him to look into it a little further to see whether we could actually maybe put panels in the woods back there and generate enough electricity to run those kind of lights there. So I've said, try to find one, we'll do it as a test, and see if it works.
Yeah.
And if so, we'll put them on the path all the way up. I know Ms. Salter mentioned that a couple times, so we're looking into that as well.
all right, thank you.
Was it possible maybe if they couldn't put in additional lights that they could upgrade the existing lighting? As you mentioned, the newer one is brighter, so perhaps they could swap out to the LED lights.
I will reach out to Duke tomorrow. See what they can help us on that.
Excellent. And Duke's been very friendly with us, so I'm sure they'll be happy to help.
I think it'd help a lot. The other thing I had was, Kathy, how many terms did you serve on council? 11?
9.
9? And you served how many now? 3 or 4?
4.
4? 13. So for a quarter century, we've had a Volter on council. Maybe Jeff Jr. can move over here and run.
No.
But no, thank you both for, Kathy, you were an inspiration to many of us starting out, especially during those turbulent years. You were an inspiration to me, absolutely. And Jeff, you've been the voice of reason on this council.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I appreciate you all.
Thank you.
I want to expound on that. When I first moved to Dayton, I don't know how many years, 15 or so years ago, my mom said, reach out to Kathy Volter. She's on city council and she can help you out with whatever you need. You know what I needed? A lawnmower. Because I was a young buck. I didn't have a lawnmower and I had this little postage stamp lawn. And I reached out to Kathy and Jeff brought his lawnmower over and I could mow my yard until I found a lawnmower. So she's been here. Jeff's been here since day one. So I really appreciate your guys' involvement in the city, and I know you ain't going nowhere. So look forward to the years to come.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gravy. And also, as we're adjourning, I want to, he's absent tonight. I believe he's down in New Orleans with his lovely wife, Mimi. I want to thank Dr. Johnny for his involvement over the many years here in Dayton. He was a very bright man. I'm sure he's not going anywhere anytime soon, and appreciate his involvement in the city. Last thing we're going to do is wish everybody a happy holidays. Thanks to everybody for coming to Dayton, paying attention to Dayton, and being a part of our community. And I hope you have a very safe and happy holidays. So if, with that being said, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I would like to make that motion.
Member Volter, do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Member Neiman. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Merry Christmas, y'all.
I'm serious. You guys rocks.